Curious about how to deal with any late payments showing up on your credit report? Well, in this video, I'm going to break down step by step what I would do if I was in a situation like that. So be sure to stay tuned. What's up, y'all? My name is Tomy Boboy, your credit and personal finance coach. If this is your first time on my channel, I'd just like to say welcome. Typically on this channel, I'm talking about things related to credit and personal finance. So if you're interested in improving your credit or achieving financial freedom, then be sure you hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss any of my future videos. Now, let's jump into how to deal with late payments on your credit report. Now, before I jump into how to actually get late payments removed from your credit report, I first want to explain how much of an impact it can actually have on your credit score. A lot of people don't realize that there's actually 5 categories to your FICO score, right? And that's going to be the payment history, the credit utilization, the credit mix, length of credit, and new inquiries, which just means anytime you get hard inquiries. Now, the biggest category of your score, which is 35%, is the payment history. And that's the section that the late payments fall into. Okay, so late payments can have a really detrimental impact to your credit score. That's why you always want to make sure that you're avoiding having any late payments. Now, I typically tell people, if you're in a situation where you think you're going to have a late payment, especially if it's like the first one you're having with a company, then you want to reach out to that creditor and ask them maybe to either forego that payment or let you pay a little later without any type of issues or stipulations in terms of it hitting your credit. Okay, that's what I typically recommend, is you reach out to them, because a lot of the times these lenders, you know, they understand. You got to think of it, they're running a business, right? They want to make sure that, especially if you're reaching out to them, that they put you in the best possible situation for you to be able to continue to make payments to them. Okay, so you always want to try to reach out and explain your situation and see if you can get a payment either pushed back a couple weeks until maybe a next paycheck that you get, or even bumped into the next month, right? So the way I look at it is, you always want to at least reach out to them. That way you can at least give a little perspective into what's going on in your life and how that's impacting your finances. And that way they can potentially help you out and make it easier for you to make a payment, and so it doesn't even hit your credit score. Now, in terms of the late payments, the later the payment is, the worse it gets. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if you get a 30-day late, a 30-day late is not as bad as a 60-day late. And a 60-day late, though it's worse than a 30-day late, it's not as bad as a 90-day late. Okay, so basically what that means is, the later you get on an account, the worse off it gets. Okay, and I actually have some stats here to kind of explain it a little further. Now, let's say that you had this is not for a mortgage, any type of payment except a mortgage. So you think like credit card, auto loans, things like that. Okay, if you're 30 days late, it's going to take you 9 months to rebound from that, or for your credit score to recover from that. Okay, if you're 60 days late, it's going to take you about 3 years to recover. If you're 90 days late, it's going to take you about 7 years to recover, which basically means when that thing finally drops off of your credit score, okay, or your credit report. Now, mortgage payments are actually a little worse. Okay, now mortgage payments, if you're 30 days late, it's going to take you 2 years to rebound. If you're 60 days late, it's going to take you 5 years for you to recover. If you're 90 days late, it'll take you 7 years to recover. So just by you hearing that, if you're in a situation where you got to decide whether you got to pay for your mortgage or you got to pay your credit card, it should be no dispute that you want to pay that mortgage off first, because it'll give you more of a hit on your credit score than you just missing a credit card. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea about how you can be impacted by you having a late payment. Now let's jump into what you can actually do to be able to take care of any late payments that you might have. Now, when it comes to late payments, there's really 2 steps that you want to follow. A lot of times people will tell you that it's some complicated process, but there's really just 2 things that you want to do and try to get a late payment removed. So I'll walk you through that. But before I do, I want to explain to you why actually getting late payments removed are so difficult. Okay, typically whenever you're able to get an account removed or anything like that, whenever you're disputing stuff off of your credit report, it's a lot easier if it's not at the original creditor. What that means is, like, if I have let's say I have a credit card, right, with Chase, that Chase card, it's going to be a lot harder for me to dispute information with Chase directly, because they more than likely are keeping the records, right? As opposed to, let's say if I have a Chase bill that they ended up selling to a debt collector, it's quite possible that they're not going to give all the information they have on you, or on me in this case, to the actual debt collector, right? They're going to give them just information that they think is key. And what typically happens is, they're going to give it to one debt collector, right? And that debt collector is he's going to hit you up, try to collect that money. If he's not able to get it, what's he going to do? He's going to say, you know what? I can't collect from Tommy, so let me go ahead and just send that debt over to another debt collector, right? So it's basically now they're at a point where they're essentially playing hot potato with this debt that you owe. And in the meantime, while they're passing it on to each other, what's happening is they're not sending over all the files. Right. So as things keep getting passed on and on and on, debt collectors, they get a little reckless with it, and they tend to just pass off not all the files, right? Just random files that they might have that they think is enough for the next person to be able to try to collect on it. So that's why if you have a debt that's a lot older and that might have been through 3 or 4 different debt collectors, you might find out that whenever you ask them to validate the debt, a lot of times they're not able to do that. And the reason is because they don't have all the information necessary, because all they got from the last guy was a spreadsheet, because the debt was so cheap. They didn't really care, because they just have a spreadsheet with you and a bunch, we could say like 1,000 other people on there, right? That they paid for a flat fee, and they're just going to call and see who they can collect from. Right. So if you just ask them to validate, more than likely they don't have it, and they'll just remove it from your credit report, then rather than having to deal with trying to show proof that they can collect on the debt. So that's really what makes late payments so difficult, is because they're still at the original creditor. So whatever, whether it's a credit card company or auto loan that you have, they're still at the original creditor. So when it comes to you dealing with these late payments, there's really just 2 things you can do. The first thing you want to do is going to be what's called a goodwill letter. Okay. And now with the goodwill letter, what you're basically doing is you're just reaching out to the company, right? In letter form. Of course, you're writing a letter, sending it to the company, reaching out to them, just asking them if, pretty much from the goodness of their heart, if they can remove that late payment. Okay. The idea is you kind of tell them that, you were just in a tough situation at the time. The finances got tight and you ended up missing the payment, and you are working to recover it, but you need help in terms of recovering on your credit report. Okay. You just want to let them know that, hey, I was in a tough situation, but I'm looking to get a house pretty soon. And this thing is impacting my credit score dramatically. And I'm wondering if you can assist me and be able to get this removed. I haven't missed payments with you a lot in the past, and this was just a tough situation that I went through. Okay. Now you guys might have heard something there. I said, I didn't miss payments with you in the past. Okay. That's really big. So if you've missed more than 1, 2, maybe 3 payments, then it's going to be a little tough for you to get that to work. Because if let's say in 1 year, you've missed like 5 payments, or you were late on 5 payments with this company, then they're not going to take you serious when you send this letter, because this letter is more so for somebody who maybe they've had an account for 2 years and they've missed 1, 2, maybe 3 payments, right? Something like that, where it's a little more reasonable. They're willing to work with you in that case. So that's the first route you can take. Okay. The second route you want to take, if that doesn't work out, and if let's say, for example, you fall in 2 categories. One, you sent the letter and they still denied you, and they decided not to remove it from your credit report. Or 2, you didn't even give it a try because you know that you've missed too many payments. The second option is going to be disputing. Okay, you can dispute it directly with the creditor, essentially telling them that you want to see proof that this late payment is actually showing up correct. What I recommend is, instead of disputing it directly with the creditor, you might want to dispute this through the credit bureau first. Just reach out to them and say, you don't want to ever say like, I wasn't late. You want to say, hey, I don't remember being late on this payment. Can you verify that this is showing up 100% accurately and verifiable on my credit report? Okay, so then they'll have to reach out to the creditor, and the creditor more than likely will send you the information to you showing proof that it was late. Okay, now this honestly, it's not going to work all the time. If it works, it's typically going to be an issue where, something happened on the creditor's end where they didn't verify it in time, or maybe somehow the person who was supposed to be sending the results back to the credit bureaus didn't do it, whatever the case may be. But that's going to be your second option. Honestly, I would go with option number 1 if you're able to, in terms of how many late payments you already have. But if you don't, then you can give it a chance and send a dispute letter to the credit bureaus, okay? And those are really going to be the two main options. Now, majority of people, if you're in a situation where you've missed multiple payments, those two options might not end up working out for you, so you might have to go with option number 3. And I think this is an option that a lot of people don't really talk much about. If you're in a situation where you have late payments, it's going to impact you negatively. Like I mentioned before, it's going to impact the payment history category of your score, which is 35% of your score. Okay. Now, what you can do is you can, instead of trying to get those late payments removed, you can just add more positive payment history on top of it. Okay. So to give you an example, let's say that you don't have any type of credit except a credit card. That's all you have. You don't have no auto loan, no mortgage, nothing. Okay. If you have a credit card, and you have to make payments every month, right? So if you make all your payments in 1 month, you'll have 12 on-time payments. Then what you'll want to do is, let's say, for example, that you missed 2 payments. Okay, you missed 2 payments on a credit card, and the credit card company doesn't want to listen to you. You've already tried to send out a letter. They said no. You try to dispute it with the credit bureaus. That didn't work out. Then what you're going to want to do is you want to add more positive payment history on top of it. So you have those 12 months. So you've only made 10 on-time payments out of 12 because you missed 2 months. You were late twice. So you only have 10 on-time payments that year. Now, 10 out of 12 isn't as good as you being, let's say, 22 out of 24. Meaning, let's say you had 2 credit cards and you still missed those 2 payments on your first credit card. Now, because you have 2 credit cards and they're both showing monthly payments, that means that you have a total of 24 payments that you have to make every single year, right? And if you've only missed 2 of those payments, that's gonna show a lot better in terms of your percentage of on-time payments than it would if you just had 1 credit card. Okay, that's a technique that a lot of people don't think about. Instead of you worrying about getting those late payments removed, like I do recommend that you at least try to get them removed. But if you're in a situation where you can't, don't worry about it. Focus on adding more positive payment history, right? Whether it's credit cards, whether it's any type of installment loans, things that are reporting to the credit bureaus every single month. You want to try to add those onto your credit report. That way, it's going to wash away the negative payment history that you have, right? Or the late payments that are showing up on your credit report. Okay. So this is a technique that I think is going to do wonders for a lot of people. I typically recommend that first off, you need to pull your credit report, right? You need to pull your credit report. I would go to annualcreditreport.com, pull it. That way you know exactly how much late payments that you have, and then you're able to kind of decide what route you need to take from there. But honestly, by you just following those steps, you're going to be well ahead of a lot of people who are just pretty much leaving those late payments and not sure what to do. Because by you taking the steps I've laid out today, you're going to be more than likely able to boost your credit score a lot more, because you're going to be able to either get rid of or cover up any type of late payments that are having huge impacts on your credit score. Okay, so that's gonna be pretty much it for this video, guys. If you want more of a breakdown on how to fix your credit, I definitely have a step-by-step how to fix your credit tutorial video that I've done, which I'll link down below, as well as a lot of other credit videos that I have for you to be able to check out. They'll teach you all the different aspects, whether it has to do with how to remove inquiries, how to deal with collections accounts, medical collections, things like that. So you're going to be able to have all those videos, all that access down below. So be sure you check that down below after you finish watching this video. Alrighty. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Make sure you hit the like button and you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future content. And I'll see you at the next one.